So, you're thinking about moving to Kennebunkport, Maine? Well, why not? It's one of the nicest towns in Maine. In this video, we're going to talk about 3 pros and 3 cons to living in Kennebunkport, Maine, and we're going to get after it right now. Location, location, location. That's my first pro when talking about Kennebunkport, Maine. My first experience with this town was in college when I worked at the Nonantrim Resort. During the day I was in landscaping, and at nighttime I was a bartender. My coworkers and I used to ride our bikes around town, so I got to know the neighborhoods pretty well. Although the weather is a bit cooler in Kennebunkport, at night it still gets kind of hot, so you're going to want an air conditioner. Kennebunkport is a beautiful, quaint little town on the coast of southern Maine, made nationally famous by former President George Bush. The street in downtown Kennebunk is lined with touristy gift shops, clothing stores, art galleries, and more. Although some are only open for half the year, walking through this touristy area is a fun experience. This is a big tourist town, so if you want to live here, you need to be aware of the busy streets so that you can avoid them during the summer. A few of the restaurants stay open year-round, and I've dined at many of them, and I have to say they're all very good. Off-season, the traffic is much more reasonable, but you're still going to want to call ahead to your favorite restaurant, as the locals from neighboring towns also like to dine here, and it can get busy. Another great area of Kennebunkport is Goose Rocks Beach, which has limited parking, so get there early. Real estate in this town has gone up dramatically, and for good reason. This takes us to our first con, which is the cost of living. Although the cost of living in the state of Maine is 3% lower than the national average, Kennebunkport, Maine is 26% higher than the rest of the country. Guys, this hasn't stopped people from out of state from scooping up the real estate. This is a highly sought after town to invest in, where the median home value sells for $727,000. That is way above the national average. People moving to Kennebunkport are often coming from Massachusetts, New York, New Jersey, DC, and as far away as California. One of the things that people love about Kennebunkport is that during the summer it becomes a boating community. Take a look at all these docks you can see from the drone footage. Now I know some of you are waiting for prices to drop along the coast, but we are not seeing this. Property taxes are reasonable in Kennebunkport because of the mansions along the coast which pay the highest amounts. If you decide to live in Kennebunkport, you can apply for a $25,000 homestead exemption. Again, this is a good time to buy in Kennebunkport as we are seeing a steady appreciation in values. Despite the high prices, this town is hot. The second pro is the job market in southern Maine. The unemployment rate is 3%, which is under the national average of 3.6%. For those of you holding off on buying, get this. Unemployment has actually gone down in the last year. Kennebunkport is a short drive to high-paying jobs in neighboring towns, and to cities like Portland, Maine, and Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Now we know from the calls that we get that many buyers are sitting on the sidelines. We still have clients making offers, getting great deals, getting concessions from the sellers, and buying down rates. You might be asking, why is this growth still happening? Well, a lot of us are working remotely, and we believe this is causing a national leveling of real estate prices and salaries. Maine has a gorgeous coastline, and for this reason, it will continue to catch up with the rest of the southern coastal areas in this country. We believe that Maine will be one of the last places where real estate sales start to slow down. It might feel painful to get into a Kennebunkport home, given how prices have risen in the last 2 years, but we forecast prices going even higher. The second con is that although Kennebunkport has many businesses, it doesn't have a lot of big industry, which is true of most of Maine compared to other states. This is largely a tourist state, and Kennebunkport is a glowing example of this. The lack of industry beyond tourism isn't hurting the state at all because, again, many of us are now working remotely. The next pro is the people. Now, if you live in the neighboring towns, some people may say that Kennebunkport residents can be a little uppity, maybe a little snobbish, but I haven't found that to be the case at all. This is a small town. Remember, only 3,600 people. Many of the residents know each other, and it's always good to stay friendly in a small town. Just driving around, you can tell that the town is well taken care of. Even the locals in the neighboring towns enjoy browsing and shopping in the stores, and eating in the local restaurants. Kennebunkport emits an atmosphere of fun and has a cool vibe. The last con is the weather in Maine, which can be a difficult adjustment for those coming up from the south. I learned to appreciate Maine weather the more I spent time away from it. My first career was in a software company that had me flying all over the world. And the more I traveled, the more I realized that I love Maine. In my opinion, southern Maine is one of the best areas to live in the country for a few reasons. We're right on the coast, which is great if you like beaches and fresh seafood. We've also got lakes and rivers that are very close for boating and fishing. And although we don't get as much snow as they do up north, we do get our fair share for skiing, and snowmobiling up north is only a few hours away. Southern Maine is a great central point to get anywhere. You can fly out of Portland or Portsmouth. Personally, I prefer to fly out of Boston, simply because in the wintertime, flights in and out of the smaller airports can be a problem. Either way, there are plenty of direct flights to the Caribbean, Europe, and of course the rest of the United States. So from a travel perspective, southern Maine is a reasonable distance to all major airports. Let's talk about winter activities. Now, if I was doing a tourist video on things to do in Kennebunkport, Maine, I'd answer this question differently. But we are talking about you potentially moving here. And I doubt that you'll be going whale watching, visiting art galleries and museums, or going on boat tours several times per year. Many people who live year-round in Kennebunkport are looking for gyms and activities like pickleball. And for these activities, you'll have to drive to a neighboring town. Southern Maine is pretty small, and Kennebunkport is surrounded by some great towns which offer fun winter activities. If you're willing to stretch your wings and venture beyond the town borders. When you are ready to invest in Kennebunkport, you'll find no shortage of things to do. Okay, that pretty much wraps up this video on moving to Kennebunkport, Maine, pros and cons. You know, if you currently live in Kennebunkport or you used to live in Kennebunkport, please feel free to make some comments down below. Please be nice. I think that others watching this video may find them helpful. And remember, whether you're moving in 9 days or 90 days, whether it's at night or on the weekends, give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, or schedule a Zoom. And until next time, we hope to show you around town.